I Love Lucy friends, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is KJ Ricardo, and today's episode is a production spotlight on some behind the scenes secrets from season 6 of I Love Lucy. I featured the first 5 seasons, so if you haven't watched those videos, be sure to check those out. A lot of this information comes from the I Love Lucy scrapbook by Elizabeth Edwards. It's a fantastic book. It's very interactive. It has a lot of information, but also photographs and little collectibles that you can keep. And it's just a really great way to have fun with I Love Lucy. And so what this video is going to do, I'm going to look at some season 6 behind the scenes secrets. So starting with the first episode of the season, Lucy and Bob Hope. This episode introduces Keith Thibodeau, who played the very final Little Ricky. He was chosen at an open casting call. His excellent drumming skills and resemblance to Desi won him the role. Desi worked with Keith to learn some Spanish, and Desi commented that he was really smart for such a young age. Ricky has become part owner of the Tropicana nightclub, and it's reopening as Club Babalu. Writer Bob Carroll reasoned that Ricky would be earning about $20,000 by now, and so he could be financially stable to make this investment. This episode focuses a lot on baseball. Bob Hope owned a part of the Cleveland Indians, but not just that. William Frawley was a huge fan of the New York Yankees, so this had to be a really fun episode for everyone. During the filming of this episode, Bob Hope used cue cards because he was such a busy actor and he just didn't have time to learn his lines. The song Nobody Likes the Ump was written for this episode with lyrics by Larry Ornstein. He also wrote the lyrics for all the songs in the episode Lucy Goes to Scotland. While rehearsing this song, Desi hurt his back, and filming for this episode was actually postponed from the usual Thursday night to a Tuesday night. The next episode we're going to look at is Lucy Meets Orson Welles. On February 5th, 1956, Lucy and Desi appeared with Orson Welles on Ed Sullivan's Toast of the Town. Orson was pretty down on his luck at this point, and so the Arnazes invited him to stay at their guest cottage. Orson became notorious for his drinking and bad behavior, including running up a very long phone bill. Lucy decided to write him into an episode so they could pay him a salary. They paid him $15,000. In the original script, there was an additional scene with Fred and Ethel. They dressed up in costumes and played Shakespeare to convince Orson Welles that they could be in the show too. But this scene was ultimately cut, but we do have color photos. The climax of this episode has Lucy hanging in the air in a levitation act with a couple of broomsticks. Lucy remarked it was one of the most painful experiences of her life, worse than childbirth. It felt like the broom was up her butt, and she had to stay up there for at least 5 minutes. Also during this episode, Orson's suit ripped during the dress rehearsal. The costumer cut some black cloth and pinned it to the back of his suit. Lucy said, if you look closely during the scene, you can see how self-cautious Orson Welles is about turning his back to the audience. Now looking at the Florida episodes, when planning season 6, Desi originally thought New Orleans would be a good place to visit. The writers changed it to Miami Beach and then going to Havana, thinking that the gang could do more in these locations. Deep sea fishing was inspired by Desi's real-life passion for fishing. He even owned a boat named Desi Lou. Fake fish were originally going to be used for this episode, but they decided it would be funnier and more realistic to use real tuna. The fish were bleeding really badly during this episode, and it's rumored to believe that the props department stuffed the fish with Kotex sanitary napkins. The fishing scene was filmed on the California soundstage using a water tank and rear projection for the sea and the sky, and this was also used in the episode Desert Island. After filming Desert Island, Lucy and Desi threw a big luau party for the cast and crew on the Desert Island set, and then they watched the episode Lucy and Bob Hope. Looking at Lucy and Superman, George Reeves, aka Superman, he isn't mentioned by name in any dialogue or in the credits. This was so they wouldn't destroy the illusion for children who thought Superman was real. Keith Thibodeau, Little Ricky, later said that this was his favorite episode to film. He thought it was really Superman, not an actor, and I just love that. Fans say that Lucy must have been terrified to film the scene on the ledge with the pigeons because of her bird phobia. This is from a story from her childhood when Lucy was 4 years old and her mother told her that her father died of typhoid. A picture fell from the wall and there were birds sitting on the window. Lucy took it as a very bad omen. Lucy later said that she wasn't afraid of live birds, but rather pictures of birds. So she was okay with the pigeons and she wasn't scared to film this scene at all. Now looking at Lucy Raises Chickens, where now in the country episodes the sets are bigger, which give them more space to work with and more plot lines. They buy chickens to go into the egg business. This was obviously a reason for the Mertzes to join the Ricardos in the country. In the scene with the baby chicks when they're running loose in the living room, they were prevented from walking off the set by a low line of wire fencing along the perimeter of the set. Sadly, one of the baby chicks broke free and was accidentally crushed by the cameras. This episode could be inspired again by Lucy and Desi's personal life. When they lived in Chatsworth on a ranch, they raised chickens. Lucy loved those chickens, and one day, Lucy impersonated her chickens for the writers. They remembered this while writing the episode and put it into the episode, and it's just so funny. Looking at Lucy Does the Tango, this is such a famous episode of I Love Lucy. The tango scene with the eggs is the longest laugh in the show's history with 65 seconds long. With the show almost ending at this point, this record is hard-earned, and Lucy commented that the audience began laughing from the beginning of the scene in such anticipation of what was to come. The editors had to cut some of the laughing because the audience just kept on laughing and laughing. Even Desi had a hard time not breaking character. Finally, we're going to look at Lucy's Night in Town. Now, Lucy and Desi, part of Desilu Music, they were investors of Frank Loesser's musical The Most Happy Fella. So the writers decided to turn this into an episode of I Love Lucy as a way to help promote the musical. So that's a little fun fact. And that's it. That's all I have for you this week. I hope you enjoyed learning some behind the scenes secrets from season 6 of I Love Lucy. If you had to be a part of one episode from this season, which one would you be a part of? I think I would choose Lucy Does the Tango. I would have loved to have been a part of that audience, just that very iconic and memorable audience where the longest laugh. It would have been great to be a part of that history. So let me know what episode you would choose. I hope you enjoyed this information. It's always interesting to me to learn about the making of these episodes. Everyone was so talented on I Love Lucy, both the cast and the crew. Again, a lot of this information came from the I Love Lucy scrapbook by Elizabeth Edwards. I definitely recommend this book. It's so interactive. It's very fun for I Love Lucy fans. Let me know what you enjoyed best from this episode, and I'd be happy to read that. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time with another video. And remember to always laugh often